All right, it's time to talk with our featured guest, Dr. Melissa Torres. Dr. T, how's it
Dr.
going?
T.
When did that start?
Here, actually, at my startup practice, my front desk and my team members, they call me Dr. Torres, but sometimes just for short, they're like, Dr. T, we're ready
Yeah.
for you.
I like it. I like it a lot, Dr.
Thank
T.
you. I like it too. I like it too.
Awesome. So, real quick, give us a backstory of Miel. Before we dive into your past, present, future, give us a backstory. Your practice is called what?
Miel. So Miel Dental Aesthetics.
Mhm.
So the actual name of the practice, I was back and forth if I wanted my name to be encompassed in the startup practice. But then after like a lot of thinking, I was like, I want something that represents me, but that also I could bring associates in and still be like a brand, right? That I can step away from this brand eventually and bring in associates. So Miel came from my dog, Honey. I have a corgi and I absolutely love her. Her name is Honey. So miel in Spanish means honey, but Melly also means honey in different languages. So Melly, miel, honey is all encompassed and it represents me. It represents the brand Miel Dental Aesthetics. So that's how I came up with the name.
I like that. So, if somebody were to ask, hey, Mel, do people call you Mel?
So professionally, Melissa, family, only Melly. And then like some friends call me Mel.
Okay. Just in case if you're like, don't ever call me that right now. Like as I'm talking to you,
No.
like, oh, sorry, But wondering, you said you wanted your brand to be encompassed in there, right? When it came to Miel. If you were to tell me right now, hey, this is what my brand is, what is
Yeah,
that?
definitely. So the brand itself, like before I opened the practice, I worked heavily on my personal brand. And when I think about that, I kind of merge them together. So when they think of Dr. Melissa Torres, they think of Miel. And when they think of Miel, they think of Dr. Melissa Torres. So the brand itself is beauty, confidence, basically self-esteem, boosting. That's the type of like brand I wanted. And also like a spa vibe, but also having that type of vibe, but not located in Boston. I wanted the patients in this area to be able to come like maybe like 30 to 40 minutes right outside of Boston to get that service without actually having to travel to Boston, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of my patients that come here because of the brand that I've built on social media. And they come to see me for specific services, specifically cosmetic services, so they can feel better about themselves, so they can feel beautiful. They'll be able to smile again. And that's what I heavily marketed and branded myself before even opening the doors.
Gotcha. Okay, so like beauty, confidence, and the spa vibe. And what area are you in?
Peabody, Massachusetts. So like North Shore of Boston.
So would you
Yeah,
say that area right there, there's not a lot of like your type of vibe?
not my type of vibe. No. A lot of the times patients are like, why aren't you in Boston? And I'm like, because I don't have to be in Boston. I can be right here and offer that service to patients in this area that don't have to travel to Boston. And I actually have a lot of patients from Boston or from New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island that travel all the way here to come see me.
Nice. Okay. So you're making it happen. Okay.
Yeah,
So let's rewind a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your past, your present. How did you get to where you are today?
crazy. It started at the age of 14, believe it or not. So I ended up going to a vocational high school. And at the vocational high school, I was in between cosmetology and dental assisting. And I was like, what do I want to do? I love to do hair. I love to do makeup. I love like the artsy form, but I also wanted like something that challenged me didactically. And I
Mhm.
found that dental assisting because I was able to like work with my hands. But at the same time, it was like a lot of didactic work. And I was like, this is perfect. The mixture of art, but yet I can challenge myself. So I chose dental assisting in high school. And every other week I'd be in clinic and then I would have academics. At the age of 15, I started working as a dental assistant. I was making like, I don't know, like $6 an hour under the table, working like right after school. And like the rest was history from there. I did a lot of dental assisting. I was a dental assistant for about like 18 years, believe it or not. I worked throughout high school, college, and dental school and was an oral surgeon's assistant. I thought I wanted to be a hygienist at some point, but then ended up in dentistry, applied, did the DAT, and ended up at Howard. for dental school. So it's been a long dental journey, 20 plus
Interesting.
years.
Why did you apply and not stick with like hygiene? You know what I mean?
I'm going to be honest. So I applied to hygiene and I got waitlisted.
Mm. Yeah.
None of the schools like wanted me. So I have that mindset that like, if it's, I don't know, and I get this from my best friend, Ashley, if it's, I don't know, it's no. So I wasn't really sure about hygiene school. But the reason why I applied to hygiene school is because I wasn't really confident that I'd get into dental school. But it kind of, they made up my mind in the sense that they put me on a wait list. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do 4 years of college and go to dental school because that's really what I wanted to do. But I just wanted to see if hygiene school would have been for me. And clearly it wasn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, might as well. You're waiting, right? Like,
I was waiting.
yeah. When did practice ownership come into place?
So 2020. The pandemic. So just like everyone else, I felt like a lot of things happened during the pandemic. So I was furloughed for like 3 to 4 months. I was at home and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I don't like my associateship. I hate going to work every day. I was making money, but I wasn't like totally like satisfied with my career. And I just sat down every single day and I wrote in my journal and I just started spitting ideas. I wrote this multiple times in my journal, Miel Dental Aesthetics, Miel Dental, Miel Dental Studio. I just wasn't really sure. And I just kept going back to Miel. And I was just like, you know what? I have to do this. I have to open my own practice. So I started writing out like every single detail, what I wanted the space to look like, how many operatories I wanted. Am I going to hire a consultant or am I going to do this on my own? Do I need to look into loans? All of those things just came out of 2020, which is insane. And I still have that journal with all my ideas, the floor plan, what I wanted the space to look like, everything. I drew everything out.
Why did you start writing in a journal in the first place?
Mindset. I think one of the huge things in 2020 that I realized was I was lacking clarity in my life and lacking purpose. I felt like I wasn't really fully satisfied with my career. And I've been in dentistry for so long. I was doing a lot of quadrant dentistry. I would see 28 to 30 patients a day. It was kind of like, it wasn't a DSO, but it was kind of like a privately owned DSO, like the way it was working. And I just felt like I was really burnt out. And I just really was really unhappy with dentistry. I didn't want to be in it anymore. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? So I started journaling like affirmations. What am I grateful for every day? And then I started doing a lot of personal development. So that's why I started journaling.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah. Whenever we feel that feeling of burnout, I guess it's good. When did you start noticing like clarity was the issue? The
clarity that was the issue. I feel like I started noticing that during that period of time that I was home and I was coming during COVID. But before then, I was coming home and I was just like always complaining about work, about the associateship. And I would, wake up just on time. There was days I didn't even want to go to work. And that's not who I was. Like I was always like a go-getter. Let's go to work. Let's make it happen. Let's produce. And I kind of lost that. And I felt like along the way, I lost myself. I lost clarity. I lost purpose. And when I started realizing, like, what am I doing? Like, is this what I really want? I sat down, I gave myself that space that I needed in order to gain clarity to see where I was going in my career. Because all I knew was my associateship. I didn't think I wanted more than that. So I thought. I didn't think I wanted to practice. I didn't think I wanted to be an owner. But when I knew that that's definitely not what I wanted and I wasn't happy, that's when I knew that I needed to figure out my life. I needed to gain clarity and where am I going and why.
Interesting. Yeah. Why didn't you like your associateship?
So I had 2 associateships. So I had one in New Hampshire and I did that for about 1.5 years, but the commute was killing me. I really liked the associateship because it was like implant placement, extractions, a lot of fixed, but the commute was just too much. So then I ended up coming to Massachusetts and staying in Massachusetts 4 days a week at that associateship for 6 years. And it just, I would say that the one main thing that really drove me not to like the practice that I worked for was the culture. I feel like it was just really toxic. And I'm not saying like the people that I worked for weren't nice, But I mean, you get one bad apple, that can just ruin the entire culture of the practice. And I didn't feel like I was very happy there. And when I come here every single day to work, my team, because I created that culture, it's like, I don't feel like I don't want to come to work. I'm happy to come to work. And I'm happy that my team is happy to come to work because they verbalize that as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you give us kind of like a outline for us that are listening, right? Like what was so toxic about the culture? Like, can you pinpoint like, this is what they did, this is what they were saying, what was happening, things like that?
Yeah. So I think it starts at the top, right? So, accountability, there was no accountability with the employees. So if an employee did something or said something that was maybe inappropriate or overstepping boundaries of the lead dentist, the leadership was like, oh, that's just the way she is. Well, no, that's not just the way somebody should be. They should be held accountable for their actions. So I feel like there was a lot of situations like that, a lot of situations of like he said, she said, a lot of team members disgruntled, a lot of team members not happy. So all of that, it was every day I would come into work and it was just always something. Oh, here we are again. Like, oh, great, we're short staffed, or here, this, it was always just something so negative. It was never something like, hi, Dr. T, so nice to see you. Like here, when I come into work, like I don't hear any of that. And I know for a fact because my team would honestly, we have an open door policy. If something's happening, they would come to me. But it was a lot of that, Michael. Like it was just too much. I was just like, I can't handle this. This is not the vibe that I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of complaining and
A
things
lot
like
of
that.
complaining and nothing changing.
Did you ever approach it to like doctor or anything? What do they do?
Oh, the partners, definitely. Definitely. I approached the partners about it. And I think I've always had the mindset that like, although I am an associate, I always thought that for me, I am an associate, but I treated the practice as if it were my own. So I always held my team members that were under me accountable, but it became difficult to hold them accountable when the higher ups don't hold them to that standard. So it became almost like this friction between me, the employees, and then the leadership. So that was something else that drove me to open my own practice. So I can do things my way.
Interesting. You wanted to open up your practice in the middle of the pandemic, right? Instead of like, oh my gosh, got to get rid of this, right? Kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole different kind of like a ball game, especially that you were writing it all down. It felt like you kind of did a ton of research beforehand before you actually like, all right, I got my loan. Now I got it. Holy crap. I got to fast forward and find a consultant.
So the consultant, actually, I was like, what are the steps? But I did hire a consultant and the consultant helped me from like start to finish, which I honestly don't regret one bit. Like,
who was the consultant?
Ideal Practices. Yes.
Okay. Did you get like a specific package from them or do they have packages or how does that work?
So was it 20? There was only one package. I don't know if they have multiple packages now, but the package that I got basically, so from start to finish, they help you with like finding a loan provider, they help with the budgeting, they have a person that helps with the real estate. They provide you like vendors in the area that you can work with. They help you with the negotiating process, with the lawyers, all of that from like start to finish. So if you're looking for something that like a hand holding process, but at the same time, you do have to do some legwork, I would say they're great. But if you're not looking to invest that amount of money from your working capital, from the loan, then don't do it. Just do it on your own.
How much money was it?
I'm going to be honest. It was like around 50, I think.
Okay.
At the time, like 45, 50 from what I remember. So there is a deposit that you put down, which, isn't too bad. What I did was I had the money, so I had savings. So I kind of used a mixture of my money to start up the project. And then once I had the loan money, I started putting that in. So that's what I would suggest if you are looking to hire a consultant, making sure that you have enough savings for the down payments, for all of that in order to even start with a consultant.
Yeah. So you started it before your loan. I mean, you started it when you were doing the journaling, right? But then
Correct.
started investing in it.
Yes, because in order to secure the consultant, they require a deposit. So if you don't have that money, if you don't have that capital, I would say it was probably like, I can't remember. I think it was like anywhere from 11 to 13,000. So it's not cheap, right? It's not like it's 2,000, 3,000, or 5. So I would say if you are looking to hire a consultant, if they're requiring that much of a deposit, you should have some money set aside, because when you're hiring the consultant, you don't have your loan secured yet. At least in my case, I didn't have my loan secured yet.
Yeah. Okay. So you secured the consultant with your savings and then you got the loan?
Yes. Then I got the loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who'd you
So
guys
once
go
you
with?
hire your consultant, Ideal specifically, when you hire Ideal, then you start looking like they set you up with, for me, I had Mike. So Mike was my real estate guy. So we did like demographics. We started looking at spaces, where I wanted to be specifically, where I wanted to practice and how far away I wanted to live. Obviously, that has changed a lot because my life has changed a lot since I've opened the doors. So at the time, I was just living 20 minutes away from the practice. Now we're looking at probably an extra 10 minutes, which is not bad. But, you go through all that process, you do all of that. Once you see the space and you have the square footage and you kind of have an idea, then they put you in to secure the loan. So that way you know what numbers you need and how much money you need to borrow.
Was there anything, Melissa, like in the situation when you have a consultant where you're like, I don't think that's right, but the consultant's like, no, trust me, let's do it. And you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with any situation, whether you're dealing with the consultant or if you're dealing with the contractors or the subcontractors, you do have to be like super firm and on it. Like you have to be on it, because if you're not on it, you're just letting them drive, right? You're letting them like take the wheel and just go with it. You have to stay on top of it. You have to look at the numbers. Even when you're looking at budgeting and equipment, they could recommend something, but you'll be like, nope, that's not going to fit in the budget. Obviously, they're at your best interest, but at the same time, you need to like make sure that you're double checking everything. And that was the same thing. I would recommend it even with the same thing when you're looking at contractors. So when you're looking at contractors, you secure a contractor, they give you an initial kind of like bid of what everything is going to cost. And then they come back like 2 months later, oh, flooring went up, flooring this.
Yeah.
No. This is what you gave me. This is what you're going to honor. Go back to your subcontractor and figure it out. That's how it has to be. That's how I deal with it, at least.
Yeah, no, that's good. And every time you did that, was it like, oh, you're right, let me go back and let me do it, and then it came back perfect? Or
there was always pushback, but you know what? This is what you gave me. You need to go back. I don't know if I can swear, but I can be kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But on purpose, because, like you're a first-time business owner, which that was me. I'm a woman, which that is me. And a lot of these, and I'm not being like sexist or anything, a lot of these business people that you're working with, they're males. So sometimes, Michael, like, you don't understand, like when I was going through all this process, I got some weird, like feedback from like signage men, like companies, like being so disrespectful to me. It was a lot. It wasn't like easy, at least in New England, because they're crazy out here. They do not care. But
yeah, that's difficult, man. Kudos to you, because I'm the type of guy who like, I don't even want to return something at Target. And I'm like, we're going to leave it that way. I thought I saw a price.
Like the biggest advice is don't stay quiet. Make sure you review every single thing. Even if your consultant is on your side, always double check everything and question it, because you're learning through the process. Same thing with the contractors.
Okay, I like that. So then how much was your loan in total?
In total, everything $650. So the space that I have right now is 2080 external, internal. By the time, I think it was like 1980, or 1900, I kind of lost some square footage there. So it's built out for 6 ops. 3 are outfitted currently. And I got DCI equipment. So I made sure that I shopped. Like I was like definitely on a budget. And I think my working capital, Michael, by the time I budgeted everything, I think I had like 80,000 to start when the doors opened. So it wasn't too bad.
No, not bad at all. And then when the doors open, was it like crickets, or was it more like, okay, we're doing this, we're making it happen, I'm seeing beautiful stuff here? Or
no, it was crickets. I think I would have like literally died. But thank God it wasn't crickets, and it hasn't been crickets. Like, I'm not going to lie here and be like, yeah, I'm banging out 100 new patients a month. Like, that's not my dental practice, but it's also not the model that I envisioned. So I do accept insurances, but I do also, like, I'm a more mixed fee-for-service PPO practice. So I have a lot of patients that come and they pay out of pocket for my services. I knew what I wanted, and I knew on the front end, my growth might be a little bit slower than a practice that's heavily PPO or
Mhm.
a practice that's in a better demographic area. The numbers are lower or whatever have you, more favorable. So I would say, honestly, I would say anywhere from 30 to 35 new patients consistently since the doors have been opening a month. When I first opened, a lot of new patients. It's been pretty consistent. I mean, September was September. I didn't really
Mhm.
have that many patients, but it's been pretty consistent. So I cannot complain, but I am looking for that boost to happen at some point.
Gotcha. What'd you do before you opened the doors to make sure, you know what I mean? Like on day one, boom, people were
Day
walking
one,
in.
boom. Yeah. The one thing that honestly helped me was just building that personal brand, like being present on social media consistently. So at my associateship, that was another thing that like they did not like, that I was branding myself separately from their group, whatever have you. I was
Yeah.
bringing money, I was bringing in patients for them. But, I built my own website. I branded myself. I had my own logo. I would post pictures of my before and afters on my Instagram. And that literally just brought a following. And it just kept growing and growing and growing, and just kind of creating that like sense of urgency or sense of like, I want that and I want to see her. And I don't care where she is, I'm going to come see her. So
Mhm.
that's the type of personal brand I started at the associateship. So patients started coming through the doors. And then when I left my associateship last year, I decided I'm quitting. I'm going straight into this. I started I'm opening my own practice, follow me on the construction journey, joined the VIP wait list. And it just started there. And I kept going and I kept going. TikTok and Instagram are my best friend.
Okay. So advice for people is start the personal branding now.
Oh, absolutely. If you haven't started personal branding yourself, you're late to the game. That's my
Interesting.
opinion. Yeah. That's how a lot of patients that come through the doors, like my front desk asks, how did you hear about us? Instagram. How did you hear about us? TikTok. How did you hear about us? Oh, my friend told me about you on Instagram. So that's
Mhm.
mainly where they're coming from. And when I first opened my doors, I had zero marketing, like no marketing ad dollars. I mean, like no Google ads, no nothing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So it's all been through prison. Nice, Melissa. That's awesome. Throughout this process, I guess throughout your startup process till today, what's been some like the best companies you worked with and the worst companies, or the ones that just didn't vibe with you?
Let's see, best companies that I work with. Okay, so let's start off with my consulting team, because I feel like if I didn't have my consultant team, I wouldn't be here today.
Mhm.
So Ideal Practices, thank you. Shout out to you guys. My other best company that I absolutely love was my design girl. I freaking love her. Her name's Cheyenne. She helped me design the entire practice, and she's based out of Ohio. Her company is called Identify Designs. She helped me with like everything from picking out furniture,
Mm.
pictures, and she was all remote too. She did come visit once, and obviously, if you want her to visit, you can. But she helped me with everything in the practice, and it's absolutely gorgeous. My IT team, Darkhorse, I love them. Honestly, they're so responsive from like start to finish, from like the beginning. When they came, they installed everything. Located, I think, base upstate New York, but they have
Mhm.
like technicians all over the states now, from what I hear. I think they're growing,
Mhm.
right? I love them. I'm still with them. Those are, I'd say, I said three, right? Those are my top three.
Top three, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Dark Horse, why are you still with them? Like, are you still on the initial package?
Even still on their initial startup package. Yeah, their initial startup package. I feel like anytime there was some issues I was having initially with, I can't remember. It was my Cisco something. I don't know if it was
Mhm.
not the server. I think it was the router. I was having some issues with that, and my Wi-Fi kept going up, and they finally helped me with that. I haven't had any issues at all with like basically any IT issues, but I do keep them because they've been super reliable from the beginning. For me, I think the pricing is worth it, because if something were to go wrong, I know that I can depend on them.
Yeah.
So
No, definitely. Awesome. And then
yeah,
were you negotiating with other IT companies at that time or no?
yeah, I was. I was. And I kept going back to Ruben.
Why? What was the thing where you're like, let me see, what was on your checklist where you're like, hey, for IT, I gotta have this, or
I felt like every time I went back when I was negotiating, so I negotiated with some local vendors here.
Mhm.
They were outrageous. I think the main thing that drew me back to Darkhorse was they were reasonably priced, in my opinion, because I'm in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And all of the bids I were getting were like 30 to 50,000.
Oh wow.
I was like, that's ridiculous. And I
Mhm.
remember going back and forth with Darkhorse. I'm like, you need to get this number down. You need to get this number down.
Yeah.
Down. And they were like the only ones that actually like made it work. So they were really, really good with making my budget work.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Is their response time pretty good? Like whenever
Yes.
you have an emergency?
Yeah. So they have like in the lower right corner of each computer, you can just like create a ticket, like a submitted ticket, and they get right back to you via email and then they call. Depending on the priority, right? If it's something like, oh, change an email, they're not going to get right back to you. But if it's something like my server's down or something, my Easy Ray is not working or my sensor's not working, they're going to get right back to you.
Awesome. Okay. So then those are the companies that you say are the best, right?
Yeah, I would say those are the best companies that I worked for. I mean, that worked for me.
Yeah, that worked that you're currently
That are
with right
working
now.
for me.
Yeah. The worst ones now.
The worst ones.
Or maybe ones that just didn't, you're like, this is not a good partnership.
So I wouldn't say the worst ones because I'm trying to figure out like which ones I'm still not with. Like, let's try to see. Hold on. So what other vendors are there? So there's
a ton. Like, I don't know. It depends on like third-party softwares. If you use any of those, review companies. It can even be like, I don't know, whatever, contractors.
Well, because like, I feel like every company that I worked with, I actually liked because I vetted them out. Like, so Casper, I use Casper, love Casper. I have Open Dental, love Open Dental. I'm trying to think of what else, what other vendors that you usually start off with. So my marketing team was Transcendental. I love Transcendental. So they actually helped me with like all my business cards and everything like that. Love Nicole. Full disclosure, love her, love the company, but we're no longer with the company. I actually don't have a marketing team right now.
Everybody's gonna call you right now. Hey, do you need to watch the
You know what's really funny is that I have like, I'm really like kind of like, I'm like a very boutique-y practice, but I'm very like lean. Like I kind of leaned out the practice. So
that's good though.
So I felt like, the marketing, like she helped me on the front end, the video, the pictures, like opening the practice. She helped me so much, but I felt like it wasn't even like the company wasn't doing a bad job. It was just, I just honestly, from the front end, from the financial portion, I had to keep that in-house.
So mainly is that the reason why you, I guess, dropped them? Okay.
Because I was trying to figure out what I needed to cut financially to kind of keep more money in the pocket of Miel Dental Aesthetics. And I felt like, my Instagram and my socials, they were doing its thing. And they still are doing its thing. Financially for the business just didn't make sense.
So why do you feel like you needed to start, I guess, cutting down? Did you feel like you're hitting a point where you're like, oh my gosh, my bottom line is way too high? Or are you struggling or what? Why?
No, I think it was just honestly, my father, he's very business savvy. And I sat down with him and a startup is a startup, right? Usually startups don't really profit, right? Or even break even. Can take months, it could take a year, it could take 2 years. And I knew what I wanted within the practice. I knew that I wanted to either break even or start profiting like quickly. So month 1, I broke even and I've been breaking even and profiting pretty much almost every month. I'm going to be honest. There was like, I think October and maybe September, that was like maybe negative 2,000, like maybe that, but most months. Yeah. So I start looking at the numbers, starting cutting down where I need, like I have a budget for like every single thing within the practice. And it's more just so that I'm working smarter and making sure that I can grow this practice quicker.
Yeah. So, okay. Interesting. Okay. So those were the companies. And then right now, currently, how many employees do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. 4. And their positions are what?
Yeah. So I have 2 dental assistants. I have 1 front office and I have a hygienist. And then I have a corgi. She comes in sometimes.
I need the corgi. How'd you find the employees?
I found my employees. So let's see. Okay. I found my assistant Jen on Instagram. So she was on my VIP wait list and she wanted to become a patient.
Okay.
So she applied for the position for front office. And, I saw her demeanor, I saw her drive, and I was just like, honestly, you're so calming. I want you in the back with me. I was like, I need you in the back with me to be my assistant. She had no experience, Michael, zero experience. Her major is marketing.
Oh, nice.
So I hired her on a whim, no experience. I was like, I'll train you from scratch. She was like, okay. So done deal. My front desk, I hired a very experienced girl. And I absolutely loved her. I offered her here in Massachusetts, front desks are like asking a lot of money. So I had offered her on the higher end, the higher 20s. And 2 weeks before opening, she quit.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Actually, higher 20s is a lot, like at least for, like I never got that, but interesting.
So you know what? It all worked out because it wasn't in the budget anyways. I don't know what I was thinking. So I ended up going back on Indeed and I found my front office on Indeed and she had no experience. I call her. I loved her, like the way she was speaking. She told me her background was nursing. So she was basically a nursing assistant. And I was just like, oh, she's compassionate and she's patient and she's nice. I was like, can you meet me right now for a front office interview? She's like, I'll be down there at Starbucks in 5 minutes. Okay. I met her. I was like, it's perfect. That night I hired her. She took the job, didn't know insurance, didn't know anything about dentistry. Only thing she had a background was collections. I was like, perfect. She could collect. That's all that matters. So both team members, zero experience, trained them at Staples, taught them teeth numbers. Taught them everything. And I was so stressed out, Michael, because I was like, how am I going to teach them everything? They don't know anything. It's 2 weeks before opening. I was like in a pure panic. And that's how I found 2 of my first employees. My third employee, Alec, I hired off Instagram.
Instagram too. Wow.
Yes. So his friend found me and then was like, you should DM her. She's looking for a second assistant. So he's a dental lab technician, but has history of dental assisting. So he does have background. So he does a lot of like my hands-on, like he does like all my night guards. He does the dentures, denture adjustments. He'll do like temporary veneers, temporary crowns. He does all that stuff for me. So it's really good. He's really, really hands-on. And then my hygienist is actually my cousin's wife.
Oh,
so
nice.
So she works here per diem whenever I need her. So it's nice. So if like the schedule doesn't fill for hygiene, she doesn't have to come in and she's okay with it. So I don't have to pay a hygienist to sit around and do nothing, which is really nice. So she's doing solid.
Nice. Okay.
So my overhead low.
Instagram. No, that's good. That you're not stressing out about the hygienist and like filling up her schedule all the time, or what are you doing, kind of thing. Right. The employee who quit. Did you ever find out why she quit?
What's really funny, Michael? She told me that it was life things, like her personal life, this and that, and that's the reason why she couldn't commit to the position. She emailed me like 2 months ago asking for the position.
What did you tell her?
No. It was spilled. She's like, I was going through a really rough time in my life. I wasn't really sure, but I really want this position again. No.
No, yeah. Good lesson for her, though. I mean, like, you can't just like,
pop in whenever you want. Like, hey, I'm here. I want the job now. Sorry. No can do.
Yeah, that's too weird. That's too weird. Interesting. Okay, so then we fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And you mentioned life has changed a lot since you opened your practice.
Yes.
Can we dive a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, of course. It's definitely something that I can talk about now. I would say it's been, oh my God, how many months has it been? March, June, July. It's almost like 8 months, I think. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And 8 months. I'm doing the math now. But my husband passed away unexpectedly in April. I opened March 8th and he passed away at the end of April. So it was crazy, Michael, because when I opened the doors, the practice was booming. Everything was great. Everything was just like out of this world awesome. And everything was going right. So I thought everything was going right in my life. Like I struggled for 2 years opening this practice. There were so many delays in opening the practice. And then all of a sudden, my husband gets really sick out of nowhere and then just passes away. And I think it was like I know it was the most terrible times of my life. Like I thought that I was going to lose the practice. I thought that like everything, like my whole world was just coming down on me. And I was like, how can I have something so good in life and then yet something so shitty happened to me at the same time? There was days like I couldn't even get out of bed and I just couldn't see the light. I took only 2 weeks off of work and I knew that I had to get back into work because if I stayed home, I would just be so depressed. I would say going back to that clarity and finding purpose is so important because I felt like, and I know this for sure, that if I didn't have clarity and if I didn't have purpose in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be here talking to you on this podcast. I'm telling you, Michael, it takes a lot and it does a lot. And it was very traumatic what I went through. And to be able to like get back into it and keep going, it's a lot.
No, yeah. I mean, and I'm so sorry, but like, I can't say like, oh, yeah, I relate. You know what I mean? Because I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how, when my wife died, it'd be it. So I guess going through those motions, what started helping you to get out of, and I know you're talking about like in the past you journaled, right? Or you probably still journal. I mean, like, was it hanging out with friends or what to you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest and I'll be transparent. Like therapy, I started therapy right away. Therapy sessions, I do them weekly. They're very, very helpful. And I think therapy just helps in general. Like if you have a really, really high stress life, and most dentists do, they're practice owners. There's a lot to balance. There's like family, there's the practice, there's stress, there's finances, thinking that you're not going to make payroll. There's so many things that could happen, and unexpected death. Like for instance, my husband, therapy helps. Therapy helps my family, my best friends. 3 of my best friends are dentists and they were all there for me. And through that process, Michael, you lose people too. You lose friends that you thought that would be there for you that weren't there for you. So I honestly think everything happens for a reason, good or bad, terrible as it sounds, but all of those things that I did to, develop myself, my mindset, the purpose and everything, obviously all aligns to today.
Yeah. And that's crazy, Melissa, though, like to just unexpected. Can I ask, like you said, he just got sick?
Cardiac arrest.
Just like, just there? Like it was...
He was 37.
Wow. Man, that's crazy. That's so, like, it's unexpected. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, listening to you for real, like, honestly, not even just saying this because we're just like on a podcast, but like, makes me put my, like, I got to start doing things like now, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it puts a lot of things into perspective. And one of the things that I would say was like, just find like happiness, do things that make you happy, like focus on you, do things that make you happy. Tomorrow's never promised.
Yeah. Okay. So that changed, right? What else changed in your, I mean, not to say like what else, but like, you know what I mean? Like besides that, what else has been changing since you opened your practice?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed. So I moved. So I no longer live where I was living. And that's where kind of like I told you, like things may appear like you have everything clearly. Like I was like, I want clarity. I want this. This is where I want this. But things change. So I thought I wanted to live here on the North Shore, on the water, have a beach house. I'm going to be quite honest. I just moved November 27th and I'm back at home with my parents right now. I thought, like I said, Michael, I thought my life was going one way. I thought I was going, up and up, starting my own business, maybe get my own home. And I felt like at some point there are days still, Michael, that are very difficult. Like I look and I'm like, I feel like my life is going backwards, not forward. But I have to keep, thinking optimistically and positive that everything is going to get better. And I know it's going to get better. It's getting better every single day.
Yeah. Why do you feel like that, Melissa? Do you feel like things are going backwards?
Well, I felt like, obviously when my husband passed away, my late husband passed away, like that was terrible. And I don't wish that upon anyone. What I thought life was no longer was, like, if that makes sense.
Okay. So ever since like your husband passed away is what you mean, right? Kind of thing.
Right. You thought you were going to live this life with this person for the rest of your life. And now that person's gone. So now I am going backwards in a sense, but yet forward. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to get better, and it's already getting better. I don't want to disclose this, but at the same time, like I put in an offer for a place and I got it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's exciting. I got it actually today. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, really? Nice. Congrats.
Yeah. It overlooks the water.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I told you I wanted. So
yeah,
things are aligning. I guess really good things are happening. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you 100%. You're not moving backwards then. You know what I mean?
No. But at one point I thought I was moving backwards, you know?
Yeah. You're just honestly like transitioning. You know what I mean? Like when you're skipping a rock, the rock is going straight, but the water is getting unclear for a bit. So you feel like what's happening, but you're moving forward, Melissa.
We're moving
really
forward.
Good. Yeah.
We're moving forward. There was a couple bumps in the road, and that's how I was feeling through the motions, but we're moving forward.
Yeah. No, congrats. That's going to be exciting too. And then I know you compete, right? I used to compete. So
really?
I know you. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So funny. So I competed once last year, and that's it. Only once. That's it.
Never again. Never again.
Never again. It was a lot. It was a lot. A lot of 4 a.m.s. I don't mind the 4 a.m.s, but there was a lot of eating, a lot of restrictions. But it was a great time.
What was your cardio at time wise, besides your weight training?
At max, it was 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Plus like the hour of like.
Plus the hour of lifts.
And that's tough.
The max, I think it was like maybe a couple of weeks right before the show. It was 90 minutes on the Stairmaster, and I would break it up.
Jeez. When you got off stage, you're like, all right, this is what we're going to eat. What was that?
Chocolate cake. I ate chocolate cake for like 3 weeks straight. After the show. I don't know what it was. You know, the Matilda chocolate cake, the Matilda, the kids eating that.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was just stuff myself with chocolate cake. But I really wanted pasta, and I really wanted a burger.
Yeah. That's when you know it hits you hard. When you're like, rice.
Honestly, when you eat it, it's like you feel so sick because your stomach's not used to it, all the grease and stuff. So I had to kind of like eat half. But I wasn't like, for me, I was super lean. I forget like the percent body fat. I think it was like 15 or something like that.
Super lean.
I was so lean. And I look back now and I'm like, holy crap, I was so skinny, but muscular.
Yeah. But it's lean. And like, I was so moody. And you know what I mean? You're always like, and you just want like a little bowl of rice. You're like, Coach, can I have this rice, please? You know what I mean?
Hungry. Go to sleep.
My coach would be like, you get 3 pieces of gum. So I was only able to chew 3 pieces of gum if I ever was like, I'm hungry. He's like,
oh, she wouldn't even let me eat gum. She was like, no gum. It creates more hunger.
Maybe it did. I don't know. Because it did. I was like, I'm hungry, man. Yeah. But that's respect. To me, that shows like, man, you have a lot of discipline. You put in the grit. You have delayed gratification. You have good focus. All that, you know what I mean? Can come just from we work out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the one thing that I would say that I'm so happy is like that my body comp is like completely different now than it was like ever. So even if I do gain weight, like I still kind of look fit. You know what I mean? My muscles, I can still feel it, and my clothes still fit. They fit so different from like, I'm the same weight I was pre-show, but my body composition is completely different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you want to do it to change body composition, right? More than anything. That's more what gives us the confidence than like, oh, I just lost a ton of weight.
Right.
But awesome, Melissa. So any final words or pieces of advice that you want to give to our listeners?
I would say be badass and just do it. If you're thinking about opening a practice, just do it. If you're struggling with the practice, it's okay. It's going to get better. Just figure out your pain points and find solutions. And just know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
There's a startup community here to help you. And I totally understand your pains if you are going through any pains. But just remember, every day you get to wake up and be your own boss.
Nice. Awesome. And then quick shout out to one of Melissa's best friends, Ashley.
Ashley Dawson, that's my girl. Love you.
Ashley and her baby. Did you see her baby?
I'm going to go visit in January. I got to figure out a date.
Congrats, Ashley. That's going to be exciting. Yeah. Awesome, Melissa. So if anybody had any questions or concerns, where can they find you?
Dr. Melissa Torres on Instagram. So Dr. Melissa Torres on Instagram. They can DM me, or you guys can email me inquiries at drmelissatorres.com.
Awesome. So guys, that's going to be in the show notes below. So definitely check it out. And Melissa, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Michael.
And we'll hear from you soon.
Yeah, take care.